that
Yeah.
the Board of Ed is going to provide. The Board of Ed also has the access to the magistrate as well, because it works as a medium for both parties. So they can clear up some of those issues on a case by case. So if it's a case by case, the magistrate can decide it for that time.
Now that makes the vagueness, right, or that gray area
clear for that moment. You can't have a one size fits all. You can't have a one size fits all. So you have the magistrate to work out some of those kinks along the way. It's Macho.
And I'm Savery.
And you're watching.
Winks for the Nobody. Join us. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Share us and hit that like button as we break down politics and culture Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Has there ever been a time in your life where like somebody thought it was okay to like speak into you like absent of your parents, and then your parents find out? Like, what was their reaction to that? Just curious.
Like they can just say anything they want.
Like they either scolded you or they were like, "Oh no, I'm gonna something like that."
My dad was strong on that. Like he didn't like anyone else to discipline me if it's not him. So it's like if I go to my cousin's house, right, and they got their own rules going on and whatever, it's like, look, like it's a level to this discipline because in our house, this is what's acceptable and this is what's not. So I guess that was the line that he always crossed. So he always wanted to make sure like he's the one.
So if Savery is having issues in someone else's home, tell dad, and dad deals with it.
Yeah.
Don't take it upon yourself.
Exactly. So really quick on that is when my dad came to the country, it was like a home of like, you know, many immigrants, maybe like 8 people in one home. And it was like, yo, it's too many voices, right? We can't raise our kids here, right? So it's like too many voices, aunts, uncles saying that, like, nah, this is your kids. You raise your kids how you want. I'll raise my kids how I want. That motivated my dad to kind of move on his own as an immigrant and kind of, you know, go in different places. So
yeah, give me my personal space. Get out of my family. Nobody's in yours. Like, get out of my family. Yeah, exactly. I got you. My mom was very serious about that. Like she didn't play no games with anybody speaking into me or anything of that nature. It's like you don't need to talk to my son like that.
But that's normal, right? That's the parents.
Well, back in the day, people used to speak into other people's kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it was a different world back then. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll say this really quick on topic is where in many other countries, right? When the kids go to school, there's a discipline at school that they almost have the same rights as parents. So they could spank you kids. They could, you know what I'm saying? So in other countries, that is a norm in many ways, which is pretty crazy. But like they have the green light to be like, yo, I'm a whoop your kid's ass too. And when he gets home, he gets whooped again, right? It's a norm in other countries, so it's crazy.
All right, so what are we drinking to today, Savery?
Oh man, cheers to talking about the, let's just call it what it's not, but I'm gonna say it because that's what everybody wants to call it, the Don't Say Gay bill. Let's talk about Florida, DeSantis, and the Don't Say Gay bill and what's that looking like, because I read the bill, Macho, 7 pages. You know, I love short bills. But anyways, reading that.
I got it right here. I decided, you know, I'm that kind of guy. I wanted it printed. I got highlights.
Before we get into this bill, check all these headlines out. You ready for this, Macho?
Yeah. What do we got?
We got NBC News, what Florida's Don't Say Gay bill actually says. We got CBS, Florida Senate passes controversial Don't Say Gay bill. We got ABC News, Florida House passes controversial Don't Say Gay bill. We got the New York Times, opponents call it Don't Say Gay bill. Here's what it says. We got the Guardian, Don't Say Gay bill. He clashes with DeSantis over Florida. We got CBS again, Florida Governor DeSantis defends controversial. What's it called?
Don't Say Gay bill.
Here we go again.
There it
DeSantis
is.
dismisses Don't Say Gay bill. And again, we can go on and on, but I
So
wanted to
original.
show.
Don't say gay bill.
Don't say gay bill.
Don't say gay bill.
You can't say gay.
The Don't Say Gay bill. Don't say gay bill.
Don't say gay bill.
You don't say gay bill.
Hi.
So
quick
original,
glimpse.
these guys. They're
Crazy,
so original. These are the headline mobs that we talked about
The
off air.
headline mobs. We just went down the list of the headline mobs. This is what
They
the
all
media
get
does.
together. They're like the mafioso family. They come together and say, "All right, we're agreeing to one headline. Copy that. No one who thinks differently.
Mhm.
No one who thinks differently." And you know what I get upset about with conservative media? They play along by saying it. Why you gotta say it? Don't say it. Don't play along with these chumps. Be different. Be the other people that actually speak on what it actually is. That to me is just like, come on, Savery. Like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are we playing this game? Check this out, Savery. So with the headline mobs that you just illustrated, that you just eloquently illustrated for us. Check this out. You ready for this? This is an election year, 2022 in Florida.
Facts.
Guess who's running for governor?
In Florida?
Yes, guess who's running for governor?
Oh, I want to hear this. I don't even know where to start. Let me know.
Current representative, and former governor Christ or Christ. Or I don't know how you would actually say the guy's name, but
I think it's pretty unconscionable that our governor would be advocating censorship. I was at an LGBTQ caucus gala and be accepting and be embracing and not be discriminating. Say that certain people don't exist or we're not going to talk about it.
he was a governor of Florida at the time in 2010 as a Republican. Then when he leaves, transitions to be a Democrat. Now he's a Democrat now, and he's on the leading ticket to oppose Ron Desantis.
That's interesting.
That is a
Wow.
footnote. I want to put that on there because with the headline mobs, don't put it past these people who are running against DeSantis with high approval ratings. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No. That's a good thing for people to know because I want to look more into him now. After this, to kind of see, like, all right, let's see, because DeSantis is a short W. Everybody's saying, right? But who knows, right? Because it is a purple state, so it's like you gotta be on your toes. You still gotta be on.
You gotta do 2020 times 20. You know what I'm saying to get DeSantis out of there.
2020 times 20 to beat the man.
Because the dude, he's sharp. He's real sharp. I'm not even gonna front. I've listened to him and I'm like, okay.
Real sharp.
I see what he's doing there, and it's funny to me that they came up with this term now. Don't say gay, but as this show progresses, folks, we're gonna get into the nitty gritty on what this is really about. What this bill is really about. Let's read this bill. Like, I'm not really going to go through all 7 pages, but there's certain areas that I highlighted that tells me this is not really about gay or, the LGBTQ community. We're going to talk about the Trevor Project. The Trevor Project has a voice in all of this. We're going to talk about some parents who've had issues that before this became a thing. Let's do it.
And then the most important thing, right? Let me say this, Macho, right here to open this segment up for we actually dissect the bill, see what stood out to both of us, educate some of the people on it.
Don't you say it. Don't you say it. Yeah. Motherfuckers whining about don't say gay when nobody said that your ass couldn't say it. Why don't we just call it the don't say gay bill that ain't say shit about your gay ass? And for the record, the Parental Rights and Education Bill is a big fat ass nothing burger. Firstly, the bill is only 7 pages. And once you get past all the legal mingle, all you really have to do is focus on 4 pages. Ask the average motherfucker whining about this bill and I bet you they have not read it. The most controversial part of the bill simply advocates to protect kindergartners through 3rd graders from being taught about sexuality and gender identity. If you object to that, you shouldn't be around children. Yeah, I said it. And I love that Florida Governor Ron Desantis said, I said what the fuck I said and I'm not backing down. Uncle Ronnie about that life. But what about if little Heather has 2 mommies? Ain't got shit to do with this bill. And here go the left and the media doing what they do best. Banking on motherfuckers not to read the bill and playing on their ignorance. People, you really need to start doing your own fact checking. Because once again, the media and the left has made an ass out of you. Motherfuckers having full meltdowns on social media. This is my gay journey. I am gay and I just don't understand why flowing and ain't nobody managing your butt plugs, bro. Do you? This is the new civil rights movement. More like motherfuckers need something to whine about movement. You motherfuckers are free. Go try talking that anal sex shit in Afghanistan or somewhere in Africa. And I promise you'll never complain about America again. So say gay, don't say gay, might say gay, just keep it the fuck away from the children. Hallelujah.
In the bill, right in the beginning of the bill, right? And then from here, I'll let you take and see where we want to go. But we have provisions of law for notifying a student's parent of specified information, right? As soon as I read that and you continue reading the bill, you realize that is
What page is that? On the
that's
first
right
page?
in the beginning and like 3 lines down, right?
I see where you're
Provisions,
at now.
right? So right there, as soon as I read that, I kept reading and I went back and highlighted that because the whole premise of the bill is about that sentence. That's something that I noticed for me. I personally realized the whole premise of the bill is for notifying a student's parents of specified information. So it's giving rights to the parents. So I'm confused of how this "Don't Say Gay" bill activism came to be about now. But yeah,
This is not about sexual. It's involved, but the premise of it is about giving more information to the parents, giving more power to the parents.
yep.
And specifically, what are the rights? Did parents not have rights? They did. They had parental rights, but there's certain things that they didn't have rights on.
The point of Florida's Don't Say Gay law is to prevent school teachers from talking about LGBTQ people in their classrooms. But it is so important for queer kids to see reflections of themselves in school. I wish teachers had told me that Lorraine Hansberry was queer, that Billie Holiday was queer, that the guy who invented computers was queer.
Let's look at some of the things here. Decisions. I highlighted words like fundamental rights of parents to make decisions regarding upbringing and control of their children in specified manner. I have other things like not allowed to withhold or encourage a student to withhold parental notification. To even this is about prohibiting classroom discussions about sexual orientation and gender identity. I can't believe that this actually has to be legislated as a bill. Are you
Yeah.
surprised by this? Honestly,
I'm not. Let me tell you why I'm not personally. Personally, I'm with you. Can't believe it. But then at the same time, this is how strong state powers and government has got. DeSantis is one of the few fighting against it.
Does it say that in the bill? No, because you are pushing false narratives.
But in many states, we've gotten to the point that the actual state is to give more power to these representatives in the state than to the parents. So I'm kind of not surprised because these are the things when we talk about all the issues we talk about in our podcast, Macho, what we're really covering is the overreach of power. Most of these bills are going to claim to help you, but ultimately they're going to take away power from the parent.
one of the things in page 3, paragraph C, in accordance with the rights of parents enumerated in SS 1002.20 and 101404, adopt procedures for notifying a student's parents if there is a change in the student's services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for the student. Safe, supportive learning environment. So
So
that
Macho,
would,
by the way,
yeah,
I highlighted a sentence right after that. The procedures must reinforce the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children. Right?
correct.
Which, if
Yeah.
you're reinforcing that, it was lost in Florida and many other states. It's just telling me this is the norm in other states where teachers, schools, and these state sponsors have more power, right, than the actual parents. Because what are they doing? They're reinforcing. DeSantis is trying to flip the script to take it back to how it was, right? This is what I'm getting from here. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, not necessarily DeSantis, because we have clips that DeSantis didn't actually even know that this was drafted up in the bill, right? Because the legislators were working on this, but they're blaming DeSantis because this is under his watch, right? So he's the big dog, he's the governor. But again, he said when he read this bill, it doesn't say "Don't Say Gay," obviously, but again, but we'll get into that, and we'll get into the commentary of that. But safe and supportive, knowing about the mental and emotional well-being and physical well-being of a person. How can you not? What this says to me, not what it says, but what it doesn't say is that were they withholding mental health, physical health, and mental and emotional well-being from the parents? Were they really withholding that?
Well, yeah, because they had no obligation. For example, it's like if you're dealing with a mental bout, and this has to do with this where the conversation gets a little deeper with gender identity, right? Gender confusion with who you are. Those are stuff that's not that you as the child or the teacher and the child, it's almost like a confidential relationship. It's almost like you going to your counselor, and your counselor, remember, part of what you sign is your counselor doesn't tell anything, right? It's a disclosure, right? I think that's the word I'm looking for, right? Where
Hmm.
they don't have to share, or they can't share legally. They don't have to, they can't share stuff legally. This kind of situation with the teacher, right? And the child, they were treating it like this confidential relationship where the parents like out of it, right? The parent doesn't need to know. So if a child comes up to you and says, "Hey, I think I feel like a young boy comes. I think I feel like a woman. I'm like a girl. Let's say I'm not
Right,
sure where to move." That's a confidential conversation between the teacher and the child. So now you can go through mental health. You can go
right.
through
Or the counselor
evaluations,
and the counselor.
counseling,
Yeah,
and the parent doesn't need to know.
right,
That's crazy to me.
right. And it's all at the discretion of the school. All at like they had like they're the parent.
In the beginning of page 4, right? Just so you can go straight through. On my last point, check what it says here. I highlighted this too. Encourage a student to discuss issues relating to his or her well being with his or her parent to facilitate discussions
Hmm.
of the issue with the parent, right? So again, they're
With the
trying to
parent.
bring back
Right.
what we consider the norm, and most people would consider the norm. Historically, in America, it's almost like the parent has the right, the individual has the right. I have the right to raise my children as I want. So the simple fact this is bringing back, this norm is being brought back. It means what I'm getting is what I'm getting. The sense is for years has been the opposite. The teachers have had full control almost through this gender bias identity.
This subparagraph does not prohibit a school district from adopting procedures that permit school personnel to withhold such information from a parent if a reasonably prudent person would believe that discourse would result in abuse, abandonment, or neglect, as those terms are defined in S39. So they create the
Mm,
terms, what to look out for. And in paragraph 3, classroom instructions by school personnel or third parties on
okay,
sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or
that's
in the
the key.
manner, hold on, or in the manner that is not age appropriate, developmentally appropriate, or for students in accordance with the state standards. What do you think that might be, that last one? Because they're calling that vague.
Yeah, I think they're just adding state standards, and I think of sexual assault, right? And those kind of acts that might
Well,
like
not,
cross that line.
well, before that, right? What
Mhm.
about people who are mentally, impaired, right? People who have autism or maybe some other developmental issues that maybe could be cognitively different than other students around the class, so they may not be at the same level. So having these discussions would be
Yeah,
prohibited to
that's
them
good.
despite their age. So they could be 9, 10 years old, but yet they could have the mind of a 3-year old, right? You would
Yeah,
now not have that conversation with them as well. So they're saying that that's vague.
that's
We're gonna
good.
we're
No,
gonna
no,
get to that point.
you explained it well. That's a good provision to have there, right? I think that
Uh,
sounds kind of the way you explained
uh,
another layer, right?
they
After the
thought
state
about this
standards of the
stuff.
law, because state standards are law as well, but you went more specific on the bill, which I think you're more accurate, which means now like developmental, right? What even your level of comprehension, yeah, and
Comprehension,
all that. That's good.
autism, if you're on the spectrum,
Yeah.
right? We have to be sensitive to these things, right? You have to be sensitive to orientation. You have to be sensitive to this, but also developmentally, right? So yes, it's vague. We're gonna get to the point of it being vague.
That didn't make sense to me, so I looked at the language, and it says in kindergarten through third grade or. And this is the important part, in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. So really, that extends it. It's so vague.
It's vague with a clause. You know what that clause is? That the parent has legal power to a magistrate that
Yeah.
the board of ed is going to provide. The board of ed also has the access to the magistrate as well
Mhm.
because it works as a medium for both parties. so they can clear up some of those issues on a case by case. So if it's a case by case, the magistrate can decide it for that time.
Now that makes the vagueness, right, or that gray area
Clear
more
for that
clear.
moment. You can't have a one size fits all. You can't
Exactly.
have a one size
Exactly.
fits all. So you have the magistrate to work out some of those kinks along the way. You know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
That makes sense.
And here's the kicker that I thought was interesting to allude to the why this bill was probably written, and it took me down a road here. By June 30th, this is the end of the page 7, section 2. By June 30th, 2023, the Department of Education shall review and update as necessary school counseling frameworks and standards, educator practices and professional conduct principles, and other student services personnel guidelines, standards, of frameworks in accordance with the requirements of this act. They mentioned the framework, counseling, things, services that they provide. So I have a New York Times report here, and towards the tail end of the article, which the New York Times is really privy to doing this, putting things at the end of their articles and thinking that we're that stupid.
Never have I ever read a newspaper.
Really? Even homeless people read newspapers.
The headline to this article was this: opponents call it the Don't Say Gay bill. Here's what it says. The state school counseling framework, based on the national guidelines and adopted in 2010, is currently being revised according to Carmen Larson, a counselor in Sarasota County and a member of the writing committee. The current framework contains language borrowed from the American School Counselor Association, stating that students have the right to a counseling program that advocates for and affirms diversity in sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, expression, family type, and many other kinds of identity categories. Guess who was the governor of Florida in 2010?
That man.
Christ. Who's running against DeSantis, who is literally backing this whole rhetoric of don't say gay. What do you think of that?
That's interesting. I wonder what he's gonna run on. I wonder if that's gonna be the crutch of anything. He'll probably avoid that whole topic. Yeah, then it's political theater again. You know how these bills go, because that don't say gay bill. Think about how many people are speaking about it, and most people don't read the bill. So as soon as they hear "don't say gay bill," they happen to think like, oh, this is a LGBTQ activism moment, right? Like, hey, I gotta stand behind them. I'm like, we have to be really careful just because we hear a catchphrase, because now I don't know if you heard the problems now with Disney. Have you hearing that conflict with Disney and DeSantis? So there's a headline here: ESPN employees join Walt Disney Company colleagues to protest the company's response to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. So now we have ESPN and the Walt Disney company protesting because they know they can't do nothing about the bill, but they just want people to hate the bill, right? So, for example, let me read this from the article. Walt Disney Resort in Orlando drew criticism for its initial silence about the legislation. So people started criticizing Walt Disney for their silence after the bill, as well as for having donated to lawmakers supporting it. So they donated to lawmakers supporting it. Then they got pressure for not saying anything. This is crazy. Though Disney CEO Bob Chapek has since said the company stands with the LGBTQIA plus. I didn't know those letters were added. All right. Employees and announced a pause on political donations to Florida. Employees say the companies should do more. So they put pressure. Check this out. Let me give a quick overview of what happened there. All right. You ready? They drew criticism for its initial silence for the legislation, as well as having donated to lawmakers, right? Though the CEO now came out and said, oh, wait, hold up, guys, hold up. Just want to the company stands with LGBTQ. We stand with all that, guys. We're not. It's the pressure. This is why I talk about the social pressure is stronger than the political pressure a lot of times. When they put social pressure, that's the act of being canceled. That's the act of being shamed. That's the act of being looked down on. And what's happening here with Disney is an example of that. By the way, I just read that it seemed like they were on board, not really involved with it. But now, because everything is political, right? You have a company like Disney almost forced to almost give a quasi kind of apology, like, "Hey, guys, I'm on your side." It's crazy. Everything is politicized.
It's very politicized, and I don't know why Disney would even do that because they've been doing like Pride every year at Disney for I don't know for the
It's
last
never
14
enough for the
years.
woke people.
Okay,
That's
okay, I
nothing's
got it.
enough,
I
my
got it.
brother. Yo,
I got it.
that's why
You gotta keep pushing the boundaries. That's why
you
my
don't
philosophy.
apologize to the mob. That's the philosophy. You can't, because it'll never be enough. You apologize one day, but then it is never enough, because the next offense, they're gonna paint it as the biggest offense. So none of your good deeds matter. You're playing this game of good deeds with them, trying to
So
be in good
why?
standing.
Okay, let's look at some of the reasons why. Why is the pushback, right? Forget about what it says. I know they got a pushback. They're insecure that this would limit the inclusivity or the awareness or the openness. We even see ads that are out there.
Tell us about your hero. I have two heroes. My two moms.
Is this bill shaming kids from being who they are and punishing teachers who actually want to help them?
Look, Florida's new law is garbage. Kids deserve to go to school and feel good about themselves, and they deserve to learn about the world we actually live in. A world made up of all kinds of people who are all equally valuable.
So they have this propaganda. What is the issue, right? Why would you keep your parents not in the loop? Check this out. Even The View, of course, The View is going to say, well, I don't know why they're legislating something that isn't really even happening. Really? Something that's really not even happening. A woman by the name of January Littlejohn, which is what everyone is ignoring. This case is 2 years old. Okay? In 2020, an incident happened with a mom named January Littlejohn with her daughter.
I didn't hear anything again from my daughter until a couple of weeks later when she got into the car. And Bubbly told me she had met with 3 school officials to change her name, and how funny, because they asked her which restroom she preferred to use. They proceeded to tell me my daughter had to give consent by law for me and my husband to be notified and present at the meeting. Finally, we were able to meet with the principal, and we were finally shown the transgender, gender nonconforming student support plan that was created and signed by my daughter.
She sues, this is in Leon County, she sues the board and wins. Okay, in 2021. And now this has become an issue in 2022 that they have now politicized. Some of the things, the criticism is now this bill is going to ban LGBTQ books out of the schools, right? Or this is going to hinder some of those things. No, it's not going to hinder it. It's going to give more inclusivity for the parent. You want an inclusive environment, but why wouldn't they want that? You know why they wouldn't want it, Savery?
Why?
Because of the fear of children being outed to their family could cause them to want to commit suicide. That's where the Trevor Project comes in.
Wait,
Yes.
what? What are you
Yes.
talking about?
Yes. They don't want to tell the parents because of the fear that now the kid is outed, right? The kid is outed, and now the family feels some type of, now they feel like, they're rejected, they're not accepted, and so therefore they want to kill themselves. And that's where the Trevor Project comes in. Trevor Project was started by John Lasence, and I don't even know Lienz or Licence. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, his last name. He started the Trevor Project in 1988 as the first nationwide 24-hour crisis intervention lifeline for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning youth, including phone, in-person, and online life-affirming resources such as the Trevor Lifeline, Trevor Chat, Trevor Space, Ask Trevor, and Trevor Education Workshops. So this organization exists, and they're expressing fear that if they pass this bill, which they did, if they pass this bill, that many more teenagers are going to want to commit suicide because of their parents now knowing about there are changes.
Wow.
You see how this rabbit hole goes?
That took a steep turn. One, I would say this. I know the transgender suicide rate is really high, even after the surgery is performed, right? So let's note that. So even when you're supporting it, right, and walking through someone through this whole process of the gender they want to be, the transition they want to make, how they feel, all that, there's no evidence, right? That we like to paint it like, oh no, we just have to support them throughout the whole process. But could that be damaging? It could be to a little kid. It could be to a small child, because how many times do you change your mind on simple things in life when you're a
Right.
teenager? So check this out. The suicide attempt rate among transgender person ranges from 32 to 50% across the countries. Gender-based victimization, discrimination, bullying, violence, being rejected by the family, friends, and community. So they throw that in there. Harassment by intimate partner, family members, police, and public discrimination. So it's a list of things. But the point is what? The suicide rate before these, when it was before with schools, however it is, the point is transgender suicide rates are high.
And
You have many moms, by the way.
I will push back, Savery. I will push back on this. I'm not doubting that the transgender suicide rate is pretty high. Not
All right, go
doubting
ahead.
that. But it could be a bit skewed right now. Guess why? In 2019, guess how many suicide attempts were there
How
in
many?
America? 1.4 million. In 2020, guess how many suicide attempts were there?
How many?
12.2 million. That's a massive jump for it to just be transgender. It's not transgender. There's a lot of people being drastically affected by suicide, probably as a result of what? COVID, the lockdowns.
Oh, no, I'm with you.
Right?
But I'm saying prior to COVID or anything, suicide rate amongst the transgender population has always been high. Like much higher than any other sector population, right? You have veterans, you have younger, you have however you break it down, transgender prior to COVID has always been high, the suicide rate for them, right?
Mhm.
Like it's always been high, right? And high relatively to other kind of let's say races, cultures, or however you want to break down the data.
Mhm,
But it's
mhm.
high. I see what you're saying, and that 12 million, yeah, I can see that because COVID, and that's something which is a whole different conversation that we don't like to talk about because it exposes the damage that these lockdowns and things might have done. So
If we really want to get technical, right? This bill is about empowering parents to be involved with their children.
It's okay, kids. We're just having a discussion.
Pretty loud discussion.
Yeah, but that's okay. Because what's important is that Mommy and I are always a team. We're always united against the forces of...
Pig-headedness?
If you are afraid
Bam.
of how they may take it, then create a conducive environment so that you don't out the child, but you create a safe space so that the child can talk to the parent with a medium, someone there, or give them a person to reach out or make a home visit to have these discussions, maybe scope out or maybe look at some things, examine some things first before making these notifications. I mean, you have to do it now. It's law. But to hold it from them. Look, there's a couple of things I have to say, right? One, on The View, we had a woman on The View talking about this issue, calling teachers first responders.
Teachers are first responders for kids.
Yeah.
They're the first responders for anything going on, whether it's abuse at home or otherwise.
I do not want to get behind that because of I'm not generalizing all teachers, but teachers have been guilty of really egregious things, of not only being drunk or intoxicated in class, but also having sexual relationships with these kids. And you want to call them first responders? Sorry, no, call them what they are. They're teachers. They're not first responders. If they notice anything or if anything's reported to them, they have to delegate that to the proper authorities. That's how it works. They're not the first responders.
Yeah, I agree.
They're
And
not
I think,
parents either. They're
and
not parents.
that's a good point, Macho, because what's happening, right? When we think about first responders, we're giving them so much power, and it's going back to giving them more power than the parents. I just think that it's common sense, right, to have the parents decide, right? Now, because if you were to poll parents, this is a question I ask myself. If we were right now to poll parents, I don't know if that's out there, a study done just yet, but I'll be hard pressed to think that most parents wouldn't support this bill, right? Because all it's saying is you have the right to know the information. You have the right to
be
decide. You
involved.
have the right to be, right? Most parents want to be that for their kids, but now the state powers, legislators, are taking the power away with the justification of a few things you said, suicide rates, this and that. But they're going to use all these justifications to take power away from the parents. But yeah, I just think most teachers, most parents, those same parents who take their kids to Disney World are the same parents who support this bill, likely. So it's
Right.
it's
Right.
weird. So I
It's
just think they
crazy.
support it. It's crazy, man.
And I want to leave the audience with this, Savery, and that's this. This, there are probably, it would be fair to say, Savery, right, that same-sex attracted people or members of the LGBTQ have children, correct?
Yeah.
And
They
that
can't
would
have
make,
children, but they have children. Yeah.
well, I mean, they have children. They would be considered parents.
Yeah, yeah.
So that would mean what? They're empowered by this bill.
Good point. Good point. It's for them too. They have children. If you are part of the community and you have any kind of children, it doesn't exclude anyone who has kids. However you got the kids, adoption or however
It don't
you
matter.
made it
You're a
happen,
parent.
it doesn't matter. You're a
It
parent.
says you.
Good
This
point,
is for
Macho.
parents. This is for
That's
parents.
that's
Don't
good right
buy
there.
the
That's
lie.
good. That's
Don't
for
buy the
everyone.
lie.
So even
Don't
if you
buy the
don't like
lie.
it, empower I don't know. It's you teach that at home. If you don't like it, that's fine. You have the freedom to do that.
We just covered a really meaty subject here about the quote unquote "Don't Say Gay" bill, and I hope that not only with us reading from the bill, that you become more informed and more empowered. I also want to make a mention and a note here that we did talk about a tough topic about coming out or anything of that nature, or if you're dealing with transitioning and you're watching this episode and this is greeting you, hey, there are resources out there. You can talk to people and there are ways you can talk to your parents. It may take time for these things to come or to work itself out, but don't think about harming yourself. Times change, people become accustomed to these things, and don't make a long-term situation over a moment. Allow that moment, be patient, and work it through. And if you're dealing with suicidal thoughts, we'll provide some resources on this episode so that you can see numbers that you can call. You can reach out to Trevor Project. We encourage that if you're feeling those things. If you want to know how to come out with your parents, please comment in the comment section, and we'll create a video on that where we'll discuss those things.
I think that was a phenomenal word. Feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell. When we drop an episode Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we hope you come join us as we talk about difficult topics and some topics a little more lighthearted. So we appreciate everyone who constantly supports us. Have a good one, everyone.
Cheers, y'all.